Satchel from Steel Panther. You're listening to Metal Stream Radio with Metal Matt, and he's totally naked from the waist down.
Hey Metal Maniacs, it's your good friend Metal Matt, here again with the Metal Matt Show, of course, here every Friday and Saturday. So if you are a Metal Maniac, this is your place to be. Enjoying the heavy metal, headbanging along, some great songs, and some great chat, and even interviews. Always doing different interviews with different rock stars and collaborators that I've worked with as well, and a real mixture, you know. So it's always fun, it's always unexpected. You never know what's going to happen here on the Metal Matt Show. So always tune in, be here on Metal Stream Radio. You can find us here at metalstreamradio.com, and yeah, it's great station. It's not just me, there's loads of stuff through the week, and you know, all heavy metal related, of course. But yeah, if you want to catch my show, like I say, I'm here every Friday and Saturday. So here we are with no exceptions. We have got 2 hours of metal now, and I thought I'd start off with an interview I did with a good friend of mine, a heavy metal singer you may know, Tim Ripper Owens. I interviewed him back a month, maybe more ago. You may remember this if you tuned in back a month or more ago, but I thought it's a cool little interview I did with him, and I thought I'd share this one with those who may have missed it. So this is me talking with Tim Ripper Owens out here in Cancun after a show that he did here. It was a really good show, and yeah, here's what he had to say. So I'm here with Tim. Just had an amazing show out here in Cancun, and I saw him last time in Birmingham with KK's Priest, but he's rocking it now in Mexico. And you got a few more dates, haven't you? But this is McCarthy's in Cancun. Yeah, it was an amazing show. How was it for you?
It was good. It was the first show, and the band's great, and it's we got about a month-long tour here coming up, so it was really good.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant, and you had a few nice surprises. I won't give it away, but there's some really good tracks.
It's a good set list. It's a fun set list. Some old Priest classics, some KK's Priest, and some of my era Priest. It's good. It's a good fun set.
Definitely. And what's it? Are there any plans in the future with KK's Priest? Anything you got?
We got some things in the works. We'll see what happens. We'll probably release something soon. What's going to happen? But I'm in contact with Ken all the time, and so hopefully we'll have something coming out.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be good.
And anything after? So you're doing Mexico right now. You got a few more days. Anything after that?
Yeah, I go home for a little bit, and then I go to Europe for about 2 months almost, is forever, and then South America, and I'm on the road nonstop.
Nice. Well, make sure you get a ticket there. You're announcing it all on your pages.
It's good. It's good. Yeah, check it out. Check it out all my pages.
Yeah, check it out. And this is for Metal Stream Radio. So thank you, Tim, for coming on. It's a pleasure. We'll be playing lots of KK's Priest.
Look at my cigarette in my mouth.
That's all right. No smoking. Smoking's bad for you. I'd say do a scream off, but not with cigarettes. It'd dry out the throat. Yeah. But yeah, cheers, Tim. Thanks, man. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it, buddy. Cheers.
I'm on that Razor Edge.
Razor Edge, yes.
Rock on. There is no stopping me. I'm on that Razor Edge. Dreaming of a new tomorrow. Open destiny. It's time to be set free. Gonna live my life like I'm somebody. Riding fast and free. Fulfill my destiny. I'm on that open road. There is no stopping me. I'm on that Razor Edge.
There we go. Some very exciting news there from Ripper. So anyone who wants to see Wasp and KK, it's going to be one hell of a show, I'm sure. So yeah, get your tickets for that one. And at the end there, you may have heard Ripper singing there. That was an original song, Razor Edge. One of my original songs, which Ripper actually guested on, so that was a really super cool opportunity. I was kind of starting out when he got on the track. I wasn't kind of an expert at what I do yet. I was getting there, you know. I was a rock star in the making, shall we say? No, not quite, but you know, I was getting there with my sound and kind of working out my whole kind of vibe and what I was trying to go for. And that song you heard there, Razor Edge, I wanted to keep it simple, let Ripper shine kind of thing, and you know, hear his amazing voice. So I thought, well, I'll just keep it pretty straightforward rock song kind of thing, and I'll I'll get Ripper to do some cool screaming parts and stuff, which he did. And yeah, it's a cool song. It's a cool groovy song. I think if I was to do another collaboration with him like these days, because it's been probably 5 years or more probably since we did that one, yeah, I'd probably do a bit more of an intricate kind of heavy metal song. But sometimes those kind of catchy rock songs, you know, they're the ones that kind of you want to crank when you're driving, you know, crank up the volume and, you know, cruise along the highway. It's kind of one of those songs. It's a biker song. It's kind of a driving song. And yeah, I kept it pretty simple, but I think it is cool. I mean, Ripper sounds amazing on it. You know, it's one of those songs I could never get the mix right at first of my vocal, because we both use different microphones or whatever, and I couldn't get the vocal to sound sort of right exactly. But eventually I kind of did. There's different versions of it, so you can explore different versions, see which one you like. You know, it's one of those songs, you know, I want perfect, you know, because it was such a great collaboration to have Ripper on it, but I don't know if I'm perfectly happy with it because of the mix in different ways, you know, because being a perfectionist, you know, when you're a songwriter and a musician, you kind of want things perfect. But for the listener like you guys and the casual listener, you know, I'm sure it's pretty easy to rock out to that one, and I like it a lot. I think it's cool. It was kind of an evolutionary song for me. You know, I was kind of finding my feet a bit and trying to figure out what I was doing as an artist, and you know, yeah, it was a cool experience, and just great. Ripper got on the track, so it was great catching up with him. You know, I've met him a few times over the years and hung out with him and KK after KK's pre-show in Birmingham, which I mentioned. That was an awesome show, and yeah, great to have beers with Ken and Ripper, and my friend was there as well, and we just had a really fun time. We stayed up all night in Birmingham, me and my friend did, and spent you know, a bit of time after the gig with those guys. But yeah, we just had a blast going around Birmingham all night. It was a first for us kind of thing, and we managed to find somewhere that was all night, like I think it was like a takeaway kind of shop, you know, like a kebab shop type of thing, but a kind of big one where people could just hang out in the middle of the night, you know, 3 a.m, 4 a.m. It's crazy. It was, yeah, unexpected. So that kept us through till our coach in the next morning, you know. But yeah, it's fun. Love those kind of things, you know, when you're with a friend and you just kind of do something crazy, like do an all-nighter. It's an exciting night, that. And this Ripper show, you know, I went there with my wife, and it was her first time really seeing a proper heavy metal show, and pretty much probably one of her first concerts, I think. I don't think she's been to many others, maybe some pop things in the past, but yeah, so that was a first, getting to see Ripper. You know, I'd seen him a few times, but get my wife to see Ripper and see what she thinks, and she loved it, and he invited us backstage after the show to catch up and stuff, and to actually meet my wife, because he hadn't met her yet. He'd heard about her, but not met her yet. So he was great, Ripper, very, very accommodating, and the show was awesome. You know, it was. I remember at first he was worried because there was like some smoke or something coming through from the kitchen right to the stage, and he was saying it's really hard to sing, you know, with a load of smoke from the kitchen coming through, you know. But he did get through the show lucky, and it didn't seem to affect the actual show. But the sound check, I remember he was a little bit nervous kind of thing with how it, or maybe annoyed would be a better word. Seemed a bit annoyed with, you know, that he was choking on all the smoke from the kitchen. You know, it's definitely not what you want as a singer. In fact, I'll play for you now a song from the sound check, and I think you'll know this one if you're a fan of his Priest catalogue that he did, his Judas Priest catalogue from the Ripper years. I think you'll know this one, so I'll play you the sound check, because even though he was, you know, struggling, like I say, with the smoke, he still did an awesome job. So take a listen to this. This is Ripper sound checking in Cancun.
I am your
And there we have it with a smoking version of One on One, which you'll know from his Ripper era of Judas Priest, or the Ripper era of Judas Priest. Fantastic. Jugulator and Demolition, two great albums, and he did a live album. I think it was Metal Meltdown Live. That was great. And I think they did a Live in London DVD. Yeah, he did a good lot of releases with Priest. I think he was with them for like 10 years. Great songs, just a great sound, a kind of different sound. It was a bit more kind of industrial, I'd say, and yeah, very cool, and a great version of One on One there. Pretty rare to actually hear a sound check, and it's I thought you'd enjoy that. I thought I'd share that with you guys, you metal fans. That's what we're all about at Metal Stream Radio, kind of little cool little things like that, which you won't really experience much, because luckily he did the sound check while there were people in the venue, so we were kind of sat there waiting for the actual show, and he sound checked before everyone had arrived, but we were already there, getting some boneless wings and things, blue cheese, delicioso, rico, love all that. So yeah, we were having a little snack, and then Ripper walked in and started doing his sound check, and yeah, it was just really, really cool, great to see, and the actual show was fantastic, and so many great songs. I remember I couldn't believe the set list, how good it was. It was a real treat. I think he did like a Touch of Evil, I think, and a few songs I was like, that's great, because I'd seen videos of him doing great versions of these songs, but I thought, I haven't heard him do those ones when I've seen him doing his solo shows. But this one was great. There was some, a real selection of treats, and some Dio stuff. He did I think it was Heaven and Hell. Yeah, Heaven and Hell, which is a great song, and he sings that stuff great too. So yeah, we had a real blast at that show. And I think the only other time I'd seen or heard a sound check was Morrissey. I remember in London, Brixton Academy. You could hear him. We were just queuing for the show, getting there early to get a good space and stuff, get out the front, and I was making friends with people in the queue, and it was great. That's the great thing with gigs, and you could hear Morrissey doing "Every day is like Sunday," or whatever, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was that song, "Every Day is like Sunday," and yeah, it was great to hear him playing that, and he sounded like perfect. It was like the album, I was like, wow, it was my first time seeing Morrissey, so I was like, damn, that's sounds like he's going to put on a good show, and he did. Although it was probably the worst show I've been to in terms of venues. I really didn't enjoy the Brixton Academy. It was kind of like a death trap, It was like I was trapped. You felt like you couldn't get out. I'm used to being right out the front, but I was a couple of rows back, and the audience were pretty good, considering it was Morrissey, because people go absolutely crazy for the Morrissey and the Smiths back in the day, obviously. But yeah, if you watch videos, you wouldn't believe how crazy the crowd goes for him, and trying to get up on stage. Always people jumping up on stage. But at this show, I was in a good spot. I could see the stage. It was great. Everyone was pretty calm. And then this one person was going crazy. And like just sort of nudging me out the way all the time, like bashing into me. And I was thinking, oh, really annoying, because she kind of come through, kind of made her way through us, me and whoever I was stood with. It was like she just kind of barged her way through, and just everyone was being kind of, nudged and whatever. And it was just really annoying. It was like, oh, we had the perfect spot, the perfect view. I mean, it's good to have fun at a concert, but I think don't let the experience ruin it for other people. If you're ruining someone else's experience by going nuts, I think maybe rein it in a bit. Even if it is your favorite person like Morrissey. But I know heavy metal crowds can be even more crazy, obviously. Although I haven't seen it quite as bad as that day. And yeah, it was a bit like, oh, I want to get out of here kind of vibe. And the show itself was good. Morrissey, I've always loved his lyrics, and he's a very real kind of guy. He's very kind of unashamedly himself, which I love. He ain't going to apologize for being who he is, and, saying what he says and doing what he wants to do, kind of thing. It's the kind of what you really want from your musicians, I'd say. I want them to be real and have opinions and be kind of, real more than anything. I don't want these kind of fake, you have had the posters of them on the wall growing up, and you thought, that's who I want to be kind of thing, and then a lot of them end up being very, to the book, and very kind of, they let you down, let's say. When you find out their politics or whatever it might be, you kind of, some of them are very kind of straight-laced, considering they're rock stars and they're supposed to be the rebels and stuff. So, I see a lot of that in rock and roll and metal. Rock stars with a lot of opinions and stuff. But Morrissey, I just like, he isn't metal, obviously, or anything like that, but he's popular, and he's not kind of changed, he's always just been who he is. And yeah, I like that. Same with like John Lydon and Johnny Rotten. He's kind of pretty real, I think he got a bit political, which a lot of fans kind of weren't so keen on. But I don't really know much about that. But yeah, I mean, I've heard people say, oh, he's a sellout and stuff. But I mean, I don't know. I've always liked his music, and Public Image Limited was great as well, and he's still doing stuff with them, and he's always seemed pretty real to me. And I met him. I had a great experience with John Lydon. I went to a book signing and a talk, and afterwards, when I met him after the talk, when we got there, we were in the queue waiting to meet him, and then when I finally did meet him, I said, "Oh, great talk, John. You did really good." And he was, to my surprise, very kind of unassuming and shy, and kind of, he said, "Oh, did I do all right? I never know with these things," something like that, and like he was really looking at me like for my like pat on the back, like, "It's all right, John, you did good," kind of thing. That's how it felt. But yeah, he was really nice, but I was shy, obviously, and I was there meeting Johnny Rotten. I didn't know what he was going to be like, because he's so sort of himself as well. He's not going to apologize. He'll be as blunt or whatever as he wants to be, which I love about him. And he I said, yeah, you did really good, John, really good. And then he kind of looked at me. I remember he kind of put his head up, looked at me in the eyes, kind of very intensely. He's got those intense eyes, you know. And then I went to shake his hand, and for the photo, and he took my hand, and then he like pulled me across the table because he was sat at the table, and he like pulled me, and my leg actually like come off the ground, like you know, he pulled me with quite a force to get him for the photo, and he said, "Oh, that was my problem when I was your age, too shy." And then we got a great photo together, and he did a few poses, and yeah, it was great. And I remember my dad was with me, and the funny thing was, my dad kind of pushed his luck because he'd moved on to the next person after that. You know, he started signing the next book, and then my dad shot in for a photo himself. He said, "Oh, can I get a photo?" And he did look up John and get a photo of my dad and pulled a face, which was nice because he could have told him to bugger off, you know, but he didn't. He was nice, luckily, because yeah, he ain't the sort of person to mess about with, Johnny. But he was, yeah, a really nice person, and yeah, when you meet a lot of these people, you hear of their reputation, bad reputations and stuff, but nah, nothing but good things to say about Johnny. You know, I've never met Morrissey. I'd like to, you know, and obviously on the subject of heavy metal, we better get back onto that. But you know, these people have all admired kind of rock stars, and they follow different rock bands. I know Morrissey's a big fan of the New York Dolls. I've seen Dee Snider when I met him. He was wearing a New York Dolls t-shirt. In fact, I think I've seen them both wearing the same t-shirt. But I don't actually know anything about the New York Dolls, I'll be honest. I don't know, but I think they're kind of a rock band, aren't they? So, you know, it's cool that, you know, there's crossovers. I know Johnny Rotten loves Alice Cooper. I think he grew up on a lot of Alice Cooper music, and yeah, it's cool when there's these kind of crossovers. And even Rob Halford, I've heard things about. I think he saw the Sex Pistols back in the day and different things like that. So yeah, it's always cool where these different worlds cross over. I mean, Rob Halford's done a lot of unexpected things over the years, collaborated with different people. You know, I think he did a Total Eclipse of the Heart cover with Doro recently, or recent-ish, and that's like unexpected, you know. And he's sang with Baby Metal, and you know, a lot of these people, going back to Dee Snider, he tends to do some cheesy things now and again, but it's cheesy but cool, you know. I'm sure he's done some unexpected stuff. I think he did theatre. I remember him singing Matt the Knife back when I was a kid. I remember finding that on YouTube or something. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't even know what Matt the Knife was at the time, but Dee Snider did such a great job of it that I enjoyed, you know. To be fair, Twisted Sister, I always loved their Christmas songs. They're a great band for just straightforward rocking tracks, you know. They're never one of these bands I'd kind of say they're, you know, absolutely mind-blowing, but they do what they need to do and kind of nothing more. They give you what you want as a rocker, just great songs, great riffs, great voice, and fun, and kind of cool videos. And yeah, I always liked what Twisted Sister had to offer, you know. Even though they're a bit more glam and things, and glam was never really my thing. You know, that's probably the closest I got to glam was Twisted Sister. But living out here in Mexico, you know, there's a whole different vibe going on. There's a lot of, you know, Motley Crue you hear a lot, and Guns N' Roses. It's kind of like stuck in the past, you know. It's a bit like Wales, you know. They still love all that 80s rock and metal and stuff, and yeah, it reminds me of Wales a little bit, you know. Four Non Blondes is always on the radio as well. It's kind of you know, it's either reggaeton and Rosalia, popular stuff like that, or it's a lot of, you know, Four Non Blondes, Guns N' Roses, Bon Jovi, all that type of stuff here. So yeah, it's cool. It's pretty old school, a little bit different to what I listen to with Judas Priest and Alice Cooper, and maybe a bit of Twisted Sister, AC/DC, Black Sabbath, Ozzy, Dio, you know, King Diamond. That's kind of my main things. There's not many other bands I going out my way to listen to, but you know, I like a bit of black metal. I love a bit of Venom, love a bit of Gorgoroth and Godseed. But yeah, I've never been someone who is listening to loads and loads of different metal bands. Once I like what I like just listen to those bands to death, you know. So yeah, that's just how I am. But I love a lot of 80s stuff. I'm more open to other types of music, I guess. I can listen to pretty much anything. but I love the 80s vibe, and I can listen to anything if I find it interesting. I like alternative styles of music, and different people who do something different, a bit obscure. I always like Visage with can't remember the song now. Fade to Grey, that was great, and I love a bit of soft cell and stuff like that. Bit gothic, bit alternative, that kind of stuff. And even when people do stuff like that these days, Eka Vandal I've been seeing coming up a lot, and she's kind of doing something different. It's quite cool videos and cool voice, very kind of strong, kind of harsh rock, grunge, kind of indie vibes. So yeah, I'm always on the lookout for new things, but when it comes to metal, I'm a bit like in my little box. I'm like, I like these bands, and I'm not really open to anything else anymore. I'm like, I'll give stuff a chance, but I'm not gonna want to go out my way to get into a band. But I'm more likely to get into something else, something that's a bit more alternative, maybe poppy stuff. If I'm gonna like get into someone new, it probably won't be metal. I don't know why that is, but I think sometimes when you find your bands and you're happy with that, you kind of just stick with that. Because I find it with a lot of the Judas Priest fans. I post a lot of covers and things like that, and even my own music, in a lot of ways would appeal to like classic metal people, but I can tell there's a lot of people, even if you put your music out there to those people who love classic rock and metal, you don't always get a lot of response, even though they like sort of the screaming heavy metal, whatever, high notes and all that kind of stuff, which is a lot of stuff I do. Certain people who just love their bands from the 80s, they grew up on that stuff. I can tell they're just not always open. Metal fans I don't find particularly open always to something new, and especially people who are trying to carry on that kind of thing. You got bands like The Darkness, which are kind of carrying on the rock thing, classic rock, and I guess Steel Panther, they're definitely pushing forward that glam sound, and there's not many bands doing that these days. I think there was a band Inglorious, I remember. They were around for a little bit, and they kind of sounded quite old school, but I find the audiences for these bands are often new kind of people, young people and stuff like that. I find a lot of the oldies who probably should like, and I just thought of another one, Greta Van Fleet. You guys heard them? Sound like Led Zeppelin, really cool, great voice. Yeah, very Zeppelin-esque. But yeah, I find a lot of the people who follow these bands aren't like Led Zeppelin fans, or aren't Judas Priest fans or Black Sabbath fans from the day, the oldies. It's a lot of new people, a lot of young people who are getting into rock and metal, and I guess in a way it's because they want to find their bands. But going back to how I think metalheads are quite stuck on their bands, maybe that is another part of it. Maybe I'm not alone on that one, and you hear the term metal elitist a lot. There's a lot of kind of elitists in this genre where people take it a bit too far, and they're like, oh, you can't like that band or whatever. I don't really know how it works exactly, but I know a lot of people are like, name five songs off that band on your t-shirt kind of thing. I guess that's a metal elitist, which I agree, it's a bit silly. To me, put in the comments what you think, guys, because I always love to hear what you guys think about these things. But do you agree with those people who say don't wear a band t-shirt unless you love the band or know the band or like the band? In fact, first, there's a few differentiations. Should people be able to wear the t-shirt if they know the band? Should they only be able to wear it if they like the band? Or if they love the band? If they don't know the band, is that like, no, don't even think about wearing the merchandise? Because I don't know. I think as a musician myself, and I know how the music industry is now, and how bands are having to sell meet and greets and merchandise and do live shows and stuff to actually make money. You don't really make nothing from the actual songs themselves anymore with the streaming and downloading platforms. It's peanuts basically, pennies you get. So they rely on all these other ways, VIP meet and greets and all this stuff and merchandise. Well, I'd imagine a lot of these bands would say, yeah, wear our t-shirts as long as you buy them from our official store on our website. You know, talking of official stores, I think Metal Stream Radio has got some merch up on the website. Pretty sure, yeah. Go and have a look, have a click around while you're listening to me, metalstreamradio.com, and see if there's some merch, because I think they got some pretty cool merch right here. So yeah, that's another thing to check out. But yeah, back to my point, I think yeah, as a musician myself, I wouldn't really care if someone's wearing a Metal Matt shirt. Great, it's free advertising. So yeah, to me it doesn't bother me. I can see why people don't like pop fans and stuff, wearing a Iron Maiden shirt or whatever, trying to make it a fashion statement. But then if it's cool enough to be a fashion statement, then that's a pretty big achievement, I'd say, for a metal band, because we're all about being the underdog and being kind of, you know, in the background, kind of beyond the smoke, you know. You got the popular stuff, which is right there, you know, Britney Spears up on a billboard, but then you got to go down the smoky, scary alley where nobody dares go to find the heavy metal and the alternative stuff. So if you can push all that stuff out into the front, into the forefront, and, you know, have some celebrities or whatever, the Kardashians wearing t-shirts, you know, Slayer t-shirts and whatever, then you know, so be it, I say, you know, whatever. It's better, it's cooler if they do know the band. But I'd say the only one who's uncool is maybe them who are wearing it if they don't know that it's a band, you know, because it doesn't really reflect on the band. It's still advertising the band at the end of the day, so it's a good thing, I think. You know, I'm sure it gets the song some more views and gets people checking out a band that they may like. But the person who's wearing it may be a bit foolish if they don't actually know who the band is. But yeah, anyway, enough yakking from me. I mean, it's all about heavy metal yakking here. I love a good metal talk, and I love to share some cool stories with you guys. But I also love to play the heavy metal and share some of my favourites, and also other things, your favourites, you know. I'm always up for suggestions too. If you want to hear something on the show and you want to leave in the comments some of your favourite songs, you know, I'll be sure to play some of them on the next week's show. So yeah, stay tuned, guys, and for now, we're going to listen to Kronos, Babylon.
Secretly spoken, soothing is the breeze, body synchronization, slides on setting seats, side of opium, and electricity, crimson skies unveiling,
Babylon by Kronos. That's Kronos of Venom, but with his solo work. Yeah, love that one. Really, really cool track. And now I'm going to give you guys a little exclusive, a little treat. I've just finished up a song and it's not out yet, but it's all about surprises here on Metal Stream Radio and on the Metal Matt Show. I like to bring you some cool little exclusives. So in a second, I'm going to play you this new song. But first, I will tell you a little bit about this new song. So the song is called Beyond the Veil of Tears, and I don't know where that come from. Often these things just come. It's very, very rare that I'm there sat thinking, what am I going to call this song? Pretty much I know straight away, you know. Either it ends up being the chorus. That's usually a good thing to do as a songwriter. Use the chorus as the title of the song. But where that chorus comes from, you know, only God knows, you know. I don't know where these things come from, you know. When you're writing songs, it does often feel like some divine intervention where you just... the right words and the right things come to you sometimes. But yeah, Beyond the Veil of Tears. A bit like Beyond the Realms of Death. I like that it's kind of like that a little bit because I love that song. And it brings the song some depth. I think is a nice, intriguing title. But to tell you a bit about the song, basically, I work with the collaborator Fia Fraz, and she's great. She's done a lot of stuff with me. We've done a ton of songs. Over probably a 3 or 4 year period, maybe more. And she's been a great help because she'll compose a lot of the stuff. I don't have the equipment like the Apple Macs and whatever you need. I don't even know to record, you know, songs like that. I'm purely lyrics and vocals. I can mix my vocals, and I always do these days. I used to leave it to the other people to do it, like the people who make the music. But I ended up doing it myself because I think often the people who make the music aren't always kind of gonna know how to get your vocal right. They're more good at the whole music thing. I mean, Sophia, I think she'd know what she's doing, but over the years I've always thought sometimes it's better just to do the vocals yourself so you can kind of make sure you're happy. And, you know, I've kind of learned how to mix vocals, so I'm good at that. But I'm not very technically minded, so even if I did have all the equipment, I think I'd struggle to record the actual music. So I like to leave it to the experts, you know, who know what they're doing. I do play instruments, I play guitar, you know, but I'll record my own kind of simple acoustic things. But, you know, as Metal Matt, I have an obligation and a duty to make some metal for you. And like I say, I can only really rely on the people I work with, the collaborators who luckily have reached out to me over the years wanting to work with me and things, and I've ended up just working with these people over quite a long period, you know. I've had some great collaborators, and Sophia's, you know, someone who's done a lot of stuff with me, and she's great. She's got her own stuff, Exiled Hope, which are great, and yeah, Forgotten Shrine is another project she's doing these days, and yeah, she's always busy doing that stuff, and she still finds time to make some music with me, which is great. And so usually I'll throw a few ideas her way, tell her what I'm going for, what vibe I'm going for, and then when I get the music, in fact I'll sort of talk about it as I have for this time, this new song. So how it worked and how it often works is, she sends me the song. She sent me a music thing over, a file with this great piece of music which sounded very heavy, very nice, heavy riffs, very snappy, just something I was kind of going for. I wanted a kind of somewhat catchy, you know, heavy metal song, you know, something with a hooky chorus and hooky riffs and things, you know, because I find that is often something. Every kind of heavy metal song that people love has something. Like Walk by Pantera, you know, straight away it's you know, often simple but effective, you know. So I kind of wanted a cool riff, and, you know, and it come back great. She did this great solo in it, kind of like a wah-wah solo, which I love because I'm a big fan of like KK Downing, who kind of has that wah-wah whammy kind of style, improvised vibe, you know. So yeah, it's got a nice solo, great riffs, and I thought, great, I can definitely write to this. Funnily enough, I wasn't in a particularly creative mood. These moods seem to vary. Some days you're really in the zone and like, I'm sure other creatives will relate, but like sometimes you're like, yeah, I want to write 10 songs today, or at least one, or you're like motivated, to do something, be it filming a video or recording a song or writing a song. You get these kind of creative, it's like you have to be creative. It's not really a choice. These people who make music like myself, you feel it, you have to do it, and yesterday I wasn't really in that mood, at least for the first half of the day. I was thinking later I'd like to put down some lyrics and record vocals for that song, but I was very close to putting it off because I thought, well, I might wait till I'm in that zone, in that mood. But luckily I didn't. I did get on with it in the end. I think as the day went on, I thought, well, I got some time, I'll get started, and it all kind of flew out of me lyrically. I kind of just knew what I wanted to say, so I worked through it. And the lyrics, in fact, I'll read you the lyrics, because often lyrics kind of get forgotten, and if you can't read them, sometimes they're just kind of they're there. I mean, lyrics are a huge part of music, but you don't always take in what the lyrics are about, so I'll read them very quickly, because there's not actually that many lyrics, which is rare for me. It's partly more about the music, but then there's still a decent amount of singing in it, basically these are the lyrics, so make them what you will, and interpret them how you wish. But yeah, there's kind of some message in there and some kind of theme, but whether you guys will understand where I'm coming from or not, I don't know, because I like to leave it to the listener to kind of take it where they want to take it, and I believe it'll probably be somewhat relatable in some ways to certain people. So yeah, here's the lyrics anyway. Time is your savior, the words unspoken are still true. Say love thy neighbor, but I'm so done with you. Time will never be the same, forever longing for the truth. You are my destiny, beyond the veil of tears. Looks like you needed me more than I needed you. Looks like you were using me, and I shoulda, coulda known better. Time will never be the same, always longing for the truth. You are my destiny, beyond the veil of tears. The veil of tears. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Time will never be the same, always longing for the truth. You are my destiny, eternally. And that is it. That is the end of the lyrics. And there's a bit of Metal Matt spoken word there, but I'll play you the song in a second. And also there's a really cool video which is yet to drop, and it's dropping very soon, so keep your eyes out for the video on the Metal Matt channels. And I'll be posting it everywhere soon enough. But yeah, for now it's a little surprise. I sent the video over to Satchel, because I'm good friends with Satchel Steel Panther. He's really the first person to see it. Nobody else has really seen it yet. And he said, wow, so that's good. Good reply. Wow, that's good. So I take it, hopefully you guys will think wow as well. Basically, I haven't even went into the video yet. Not only did I end up recording the vocals and writing the lyrics and everything, and recording the song, basically, finishing the song, but I also did the video all in one day. And it's because luckily I could do it all at home. I like to get out and do music videos. Over the years I've went to like castles and all sorts of things to shoot good music videos, and got out in the middle of fields and stuff, visually interesting stuff. I like to kind of create a character often to go with the songs. Over the years I've always done different characters: pirates, robot, Viking, priest, alien. It helps me not only sometimes lyrically, because sometimes I'll visualize what I'm going to do before I've done the video, and that helps me write the song almost around the video sometimes, but it helps me kind of relay it in a different way. Sometimes if you can become a character for different songs you do, you can put a different spin on things, a different interpretation, rather than just singing from your perspective, my own perspective. I can sometimes sing from this pirate's perspective or whatever, but often it is more me, but somehow I manage to merge it with these random crazy characters. But I like to make it visually interesting, you know, is what I'm mostly about and what I'm mostly trying to say. So what I did, and I've had this idea rolling around in my mind for a while, that I should or could do more green screen kind of stuff. And you don't actually need a green screen as long as you've got a blank background. I've got this editing app, and you know, as long as it's blank background, you can replace the background and it comes out pretty good. And somehow I've had this idea floating around of like doing a video on a bus, and I thought all I need to do is just sit in a seat and have background. In fact, I think the bus, I don't know, I think the bus idea might have come yesterday, because I think before that I was thinking it'd be cool for me to just sit in one place with these backgrounds, different backgrounds, like, you know, fields and crazy things and the stars and whatever, but just me sat singing quite simply with all this stuff going on in the background, which is kind of another idea. So I'm letting you in on something else, which I'll probably do again. But to that point, I ended up just having me sat on a bus, and I thought, you know, buses, you get crazy characters. You always get the crazy characters on the bus, you know, all these different people, sometimes people acting crazy and sometimes people just bored and on their phone. And you know, I thought it'd be funny if I played like three different characters, you know, a woman, a kind of bit of a crazy woman with lipstick all over her face, kind of a lazy woman, I guess. Metal Matt kind of as a woman, not a particularly a successful transition, but a comedy kind of drag type of vibe, I guess. So, you know, just to have different characters on the bus, I thought, well, you're going to get the woman who's there with a lipstick on her face and a handbag and all that stuff. So I tried to do that. And then I had the rocker guy who's just sat there rocking out. But obviously, we're all kind of wearing the same clothes. So that's kind of the funny thing, because it's me as Metal Matt. We're not trying to fool anyone, you know, but it's kind of, I'm playing all these different characters on the bus. So I thought that'd be cool. And then I thought I'd make it a bit more obscure and have like a clown. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's a crazy video, and I've kind of got all these different scenery. I've used different stock footage and stuff of different backgrounds and things, and like bus, out the bus window, kind of all this fun stuff just to make it a really cool video. So check out the video. It's like set on a bus basically, but done with green screens and things, and just kind of testing my editing skills. I haven't edited anything that kind of intricate for a while, you know, so it was fun. I love editing. I really enjoy creating a song and then trying to make the best video I can. And you know, it's very DIY, it's very real, you know, there's no AI nonsense, you know. The only thing where I occasionally use AI is occasionally a photo for like my album art things. Not very often. I don't really want to use AI, but sometimes you can only get the perfect description of your photo, I find, by saying what you want the photo to be. Because over the years I've used random photos for all my Spotify and iTunes things, and I try and keep it quite arty. And lately, I mean, the last song I did, Let's Change History, I had a my own art, my own painting I did, and I'm going to do that more and more. Every time I have a painting, I'll use it for different songs and stuff, because it's quite interesting as an album art. But this particular song, I kind of was going for something which only I could imagine, I guess, and you know, I just put a prompt of what I was looking for, more as a test. I thought I'm not going to necessarily use this, but it did come back with this really beautiful kind of album art. And to me, album art isn't important. Some artists it might be, you know, and if I was a big budget artist, you know, I'd rather be paying some artist to do it or whatever. But as an independent artist, I'm not going to be paying out money for art and things. And over the years, I've always just used random photos. So that is the only time when, on this occasion for this song, I've used some AI photo, because it perfectly kind of created the kind of image I was going for. And also, it's all about the music. It's not like it's meaningless, you know, let me say that now, you know. The album art doesn't really mean anything or anything like that, but at least I could kind of put my description of what I was looking for, and it created it. So, you know, I hate when people use AI to kind of do something completely kind of with no input, you know, like if people use it to make music, it's crazy, and I hate that. It's so fake and wrong, you know. And You know, that's something I don't agree with at all. You know, you'll never see me actually using AI in my songs. You know, it's pure, real, has always been that way. But when it comes to kind of the outside stuff, where it's just the aesthetic things, like a good thumbnail, you know, because we're all about thumbnails this day and age. It's all about like having the right thumbnail and the right picture, or you don't get the click, you know. So, you know, obviously in a day and age where AI is coming up, you know, you can only use it to your advantage, and that's kind of how I look at it. You know, AI shouldn't be kind of making it so musicians can't be musicians, you know. But if you can use them, use AI, don't let AI use you, you know. In the words of Prince, he said something like that about computers, you know. It's okay to get on the computer, but don't let the computer use you, and that's kind of where I am with it. You know, that's as far as my use of AI would ever go. The occasional thumbnail, album art, picture thing, if I can't get the right picture, you know. First, I look at my photos and different things, my photography I've done over the years and my paintings. But if it doesn't match up, and I can just create something very quickly, which I think will look right for the song, you know, I'm not adverse to that. And I know a lot of people use AI in music, and I don't agree with it on the whole, you know. But very small things where I'm still kind of controlling it. I'm still kind of saying what I want and what I need, you know. And it's helping me rather than using me, you know. I find that okay. But in terms of the actual song and the video, that's all my own hard work and hard grafting and a lot of work. You know, I was editing for like 2 hours to get it perfect. The actual recording didn't take long, half hour or something to record the actual videos of me as 3 different characters sat on the bus. And the song, recording the lyrics and vocals, that's very quick. That's like half hour. Usually I'm on a roll. When I'm on a roll, I like to just do it, create the music, create the song. I don't like to leave it for days and days. Once I get that initial inspiration, I like to get it down as fast as possible, lyrically, vocally, get what the magic is. If you capture that magic while it's there, that's how the song was supposed to be. So that initial thing is how the song should be, you know. But if you leave it and you start tweaking it over days and weeks, it's going to be a different song by the end of it, you know. So yeah, that's how I roll anyway. And yeah, I'm going to share this song with you now. Finally, after all this talking, you're going to hear the song now. So this is Beyond the Veil of Tears by me, Metal Matt, and it's available on all the platforms very, very soon. So I hope you like it. It's a cool little snappy rock song, or metal. Probably more metal, really. Not gonna lie, it's pretty metal, this one. So yeah, here we go. Enjoy.
So we're now entering the beautiful London town, so be sure to keep your personal belongings in sight at all times.
Time will never be the same.
And there we have Beyond the Veil of Tears. Hope you enjoy that one. It's pretty crazy, and yeah, enjoy the music video. It was a lot of fun to make. Weird kind of doing a video all on your own. You know, I had to set up the camera and do all the editing and everything. Even though there's a lot of different characters popping up in the video, like clowns and all these random characters and people in the video. It's only me was the actual person there doing it. So I'm kind of happy with how it's turned out. So yeah, enjoy that. And yeah, I hope you like the song. Again, Sophia nailed it on the music. Our sound is kind of evolving at the moment. We did a song called Let's Change History back a bit, and only a couple of weeks ago actually, and it was really cool. And it's kind of, I think these songs are going to end up on an EP. There's a little exclusive few there. I think there's an EP coming in the near future, not quite yet, but eventually when we've got a few more of these kind of songs, because they've all got this flow, this natural flow. I've been releasing kind of originals just as singles on all the platforms kind of for quite a few years now. When I started out, I used to make CDs, and I'd buy the CD cases, print all the covers, design the covers, burn off the CDs, and all myself, DIY. Again, like I say, I like to be as real as possible with what I do. So I've always done that. When I started out, I did like four different CDs, which I made myself and everything, and then I switched over to just putting out the music online, because that seemed like the way things were going. But I always sold out every CD I did. I always sold out of all of them, and I kept one back, only one for myself to look back on, and I sold the rest online on my online platform. So it was always great to have that support, and I'm glad people enjoyed my CDs. It's very rare. If anyone's got one now, it's super rare, because I only release stuff like online now. And something I am going to do, you can get all these albums I did in the early days on metalmatbandcamp.com if you want to hear that early stuff. I've got them there for download, but obviously the CD was kind of very cool when I did it like that. But I'm thinking I'm going to do another online EP with some of these new tracks, hopefully soon.